A séance was held in the great house of Collinwood. A séance which sent Victoria Winters back on an uncertain and frightening journey to the past. Back to the Collins family who lived in the year 1795. On this night, those within the Collins mansion will suffer the shock of discovering that deceit and betrayal are guests in the house.
You were helping her dress for the ceremony.
Now, did she say anything to you?
Nothing, monsieur. Why, I thought she would be here.
The Reverend Brooks is very upset. I didn't know what to tell him.
What could we say? That the bride disappeared?
Well, I did say we would notify him as soon as we learned what had happened.
Good. The less he knows, the better.
What do you mean?
Mr. Dupre?
Yes, what is it?
Mr. Dupre, I just looked in the stable. Miss Josette's horse is missing.
Missing?
Mr. Jeremiah's horse is gone, too.
A séance was held in the great house of Collinwood, a séance which sent Victoria Winters back on an uncertain and frightening journey to the past, back to the Collins family who lived in the year 1795, where the doomed love of two people caused wave after wave of mystery, horror, death.
I dread this night. When I get back, if I ever get back to my own time, I shall never want to know anyone's secrets again. I must be very careful tonight. I must not look at the hurt in Barnabas's eyes, the questions on the faces of the others. I must let no one realize that I know why Jeremiah and Josette have run away.
Good evening, Miss Winters.
Good evening, Countess.
You've been to the postal service, I see. More wedding presents for Josette and Barnabas. Well, they shall have to be returned, of course. We know that, don't we? Don't we?
I don't know who to give them to. Mrs. Collins and Barnabas are upset enough. Would you keep them until...
Until Josette and Jeremiah come back?
Until we've learned what's happened.
Such a strain this has been for you.
Excuse me, I want to see how Sarah is.
Wait. How long ago did you know that Josette and Jeremiah were going to elope?
I never knew.
Were you the one who arranged the tarot cards so that I would know?
No, of course not.
Don't lie for once. You were alone in the room just long enough.
I don't know anything about those cards.
You asked me questions about which cards meant what.
I told you I'd never touched your cards.
You know the future. Admit it. When Josette and Jeremiah come back, life cannot go on as before. Terrible things will happen. Tragic things. Tell me what you know.
Nothing. I know nothing.
We shall see if that is true, Miss Winters.
A seance was held in the great house of Collinwood. A seance which sent Victoria Winters back on an uncertain and frightening journey to the past. Back to the Collins family who lived in the year 1795, where a strange, haunted honeymoon follows a marriage which cannot logically be explained.
Jeremiah, I will never forget this room, or this inn, or you. Oh, do you remember?
What?
When this mark was the only sign that we belonged to each other? How angry and frightened you were that first day when you saw it? Do you mind if I say that you were frightened?
I never mind your telling the truth.
We were both afraid. So afraid that everyone would notice that we shared this mark. Jeremiah, my darling, why did we care?
Because we were going to live by the rules. You and I were going to fight what we felt. You were going to marry because it had been planned.
And instead I married you.
Which was not planned. Do you regret it?
Oh, Jeremiah, no. If the rest of my life could be as happy as the last few days.
2.5 days since the ceremony. You have a bad memory.
I do not. Oh, Jeremiah. Will we ever be able to go back?
If we want to.
What would you do if we didn't?
Well, there's a shipyard in every town on the coast. I'd have no trouble. We'll go wherever you'll go on being happy.
Then we'll stay in this room forever, and we'll never leave. And we'll raise a family, and we'll grow old. And...
All in this room?
Yes.
But why? Why do you say that? Are you so afraid of what might happen? Are you so frightened of what would happen if we left this room?
Yes.
But you mustn't be.
We'll never be the same anywhere else.
But of course we will.
We won't be. We can't be.
Dearest.
Darling, don't try to tell me anything any different. Once we return to our ordinary and daily lives, you'll miss your home and I'll miss mine.
We'll make it up to each other.
Will we? Will we be able to?
Yes. Yes. I promise you.
A seance was held in the great house of Collinwood. A seance which sent Victoria Winters back on an uncertain and frightening journey to the past. Back to the Collins family who lived in the year 1795. Where she watches an oft-read story in the family history become a living nightmare.
I had to see you.
Oh, that is certainly an ominous sign for such a young marriage.
Please don't joke with me now.
Well, to ask as old a young man as I to change is impossible. But for you, I try. Now, what can I do for you? Angelique. Thank you.
Do you remember the servant, Ben? This morning he woke us up and he brought a letter to Jeremiah from Barnabas. Jeremiah read it and left.
Well, drink your coffee.
Papa, they're going to fight today. I thought last night that it was over, that perhaps Mr. Collins had...
Well, you Your brother-in-law now, you might as well call him Joshua.
Papa, please. I thought perhaps Mr. Collins had talked some sense into them. You must stop him, Papa.
And I told you that it was a matter of honor, that I could not interfere.
But they loved each other. They might as well have been brothers until I ruined it. If one of them is hurt or... I would be responsible. Father, if you won't talk to them for their sake, you must for mine. I could not bear it
If one of them were killed? Which one, Joseph?
I just don't want any more ill feeling between them.
Well, you should have thought of that before you married Jeremiah. Oh, I'm sorry. That was not necessary. Well, I do not maintain to be the greatest thinker in the world. Naturally, I have some irritation over not knowing what happened in your mind when you left, when you ran away. However, that irritation doesn't stand in the way of my loving you.
You mean you will talk to Barnabas?
As a token visit. What's between them has to be settled.
By blood?
Well, men have never truly solved their differences in any other way.
Pa, you must go to him. You must.
A séance was held in the great house of Collinwood, a séance which sent Victoria Winters back on an uncertain and frightening journey to the past, back to the Collins family who lived in the year 1795. Sadness and fear pervade the old Collins mansion on this day. There has been a duel between two men. One of them has been mortally wounded. There are those in the house who believe that witchcraft is at work here, and they have taken steps to see that the witch is found and destroyed.
How is Jeremiah?
Well, the doctor allowed me only a few minutes in the room.
Yes, but how is he?
Still unconscious. Doctor says he's hovering between life and death.
Someone in this house wanted that duel to take place. Someone wants Jeremiah to die.
You're a very superstitious woman, aren't you, Countess?
I tell you, it is true.
And I say with all due respect, it's nonsense. Considering the way Barnabas was treated, that duel was unavoidable.
One of us had better answer it, Lieutenant. I have learned not to wait for the servants in this house to perform their simple duties.
I am here to see Miss Abigail Collins. She is expecting me.
Won't you come in, please?
You must be the Reverend Trask.
I am.
I am the Countess Dupre, and this is Lieutenant Forbes.
Lieutenant?
You have not come a moment too soon.
I find that is usually the case.
If you'll follow me, I'll show you the way to Jeremiah Collins' room.
Jeremiah?
The Reverend wishes to see Miss Abigail Collins.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just assumed that Abigail had sent for him because of Jeremiah's condition.
No, Lieutenant. Reverend Trask has come to find and destroy the witch in this house.
Countess, may I ask by whose authority this gentleman has come here?
By the authority vested in me by the Almighty.
The Almighty. Well, forgive me, Mr. Trask, but what church do you represent?
I have my own congregation in Salem.
You didn't answer the question.
He is not here to answer questions, but to ask them.
In other words, the Reverend is a self-appointed cleric and has not been ordained by any church at all.
I have been asked to come here by Miss Abigail Collins to exorcise a witch, and that is what I intend to do. Kindly tell Miss Collins that I am here.